Part 2. A History of Wolves. The diplomatic meetings took place in Geneva, in a building made of glass and white stone that stood beside a quiet lake. The Velthrani delegation had been given an entire floor of the building for their use. They had accepted it without thanks, as if it was owed to them. Dr. Ryan Palmer had been chosen to explain human culture to the aliens. He was 35 years old, tall and thin, with round glasses and messy brown hair. He had spent his whole life studying how different societies developed, how they grew, how they understood the world around them. Now he had to explain his own species to beings from another star dot. It was the hardest job he had ever been given. "Your species domesticated prey animals," Ryan said on the third day of meetings. He stood before a large screen that showed images of alien worlds. On every planet you have visited, every civilization you have studied, the intelligent species controlled animals that were already weak, already afraid, already built to follow. Ambassador Crickstall nodded his narrow head. "This is correct. The Velthrani domesticated the Creel, small six-legged creatures that eat only plants. They are stupid and easy to control. This is how it is done. The strong take from the weak. It is the natural law." Ryan changed the image on the screen. Now it showed Earth 50,000 years ago. Vast plains of ice and grass stretched to the horizon. In the center of the image, a pack of wolves ran through the snow. Their eyes were yellow. Their teeth were long. They moved like ghosts, silent and deadly. "These are wolves," Ryan said, "the ancestors of our dogs. 50,000 years ago, they were among the most dangerous predators on our planet. They hunted in groups. They could bring down animals 10 times their size. They feared nothing. Then how did your species survive?" asked Rilana, the sub-ambassador. She was smaller than Crickstall, with darker purple skin and thinner wings. Her voice was higher and sharper. "Were you not their prey? Sometimes we were. In the early days, wolves and humans competed for the same food. We both hunted deer, elk, wild horses. Sometimes wolves killed humans. Sometimes humans killed wolves. We were enemies." Ryan pressed a button and the image changed. Now it showed a primitive human camp. Small shelters made of animal skins. A fire burning in the center. And at the edge of the camp, watching from the shadows, a wolf. But somewhere along the way, something changed. We do not know exactly how it happened. Maybe a wolf wandered into a human camp looking for scraps of food. Maybe humans found wolf pups and raised them. Maybe both species simply recognized something in each other. Two hunters. Two survivors. Two creatures willing to fight for their families. Crickstall leaned forward. His compound eyes reflected the images on the screen. "You formed an alliance with predators?" "More than an alliance. A partnership. Wolves had better noses than us. They could track prey we could not find. They could hear enemies approaching long before we could. And humans had tools. We had fire. We had weapons that could kill from a distance. We had clever hands that could build traps and shelters." The screen showed new images now. Ancient paintings from caves in France and Spain. Humans and dogs hunting together. Running together. Sitting together by fires. Alone, we were both good hunters. Together, we were unstoppable. The wolves got food and warmth and protection. The humans got loyal partners who would fight beside them against any enemy. It was not about domination. It was about cooperation. Raelina shook her head. Her antennae moved in confusion. "But how did you trust them? How did you know they would not turn on you?" Ryan smiled. "We did not know. Not at first. Trust had to be built over time. Over generations. The wolves that were too aggressive did not stay with us. The wolves that were too afraid were not useful. Only the wolves that could live alongside us, that could read our emotions and respond to our needs. Only those wolves became our partners." He changed the image again. Now it showed a timeline. 50,000 years compressed into a single picture. On the left, wild wolves with yellow eyes. On the right, 100 different breeds of dogs. Golden retrievers with gentle faces. German shepherds with alert ears. Small chihuahuas that could fit in a pocket. Great Danes that stood as tall as a man. Over thousands of years, wolves became dogs. They changed to live with us, and we changed to live with them. Scientists have found that when a human and a dog look into each other's eyes, both their brains release the same chemicals that a mother feels when she looks at her child. We literally evolved to love each other. The room was silent. The Velfrani delegation stared at the screen. Ryan could not read their alien faces, but he thought he saw something there. Shock, maybe, or disbelief. "This is impossible," Crickstall said finally. "Predators cannot be trusted. They cannot be loyal. They serve only themselves. Then, how do you explain this?" Ryan pulled up a video. It showed a house fire in a small town in Ohio. Flames poured from the windows. Smoke filled the air. Firefighters were still arriving. And running out of the front door, dragging a small child by the pajamas, was a dog. A pit bull with a scarred face and a missing ear. The dog pulled the unconscious child across the lawn, away from the flames, and then ran back into the burning house. A minute later, it came out again with a second child. "That dog's name was Hero," Ryan said. "He saved 3 children that night. He suffered burns on 60% of his body. He almost died. But he went back into the fire again and again until every child was safe." He played another video. A soldier in a dusty combat zone, crying and holding a dog that had just taken a bullet meant for him. Another video. A blind man walking confidently through a busy city, guided by a golden retriever that watched every car and every obstacle. Another. A child with autism speaking for the first time while holding a therapy dog in her arms. This is what wolves became when they joined with us. They became our protectors, our guides, our healers, not because we forced them, because they chose to. Crickstall was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was different, softer. In the Velfrani Empire, we have a saying, "Trust is weakness. Only the strong survive." Ryan nodded slowly. On Earth, we have a different saying. "No man is an island." We survive because we help each other, because we trust each other, because we love each other. He looked at the aliens with steady eyes. And that includes the wolves who chose to walk beside us. The Velfrani delegation left the meeting without another word. That night, they sent a long encrypted message to their empire. The message said, "These humans are not like the others. We must be careful." But careful was not what the Empire wanted to hear. Part 1. First contact. The alien ship came down slowly through the clouds above Nevada. It was silver and shaped like a long teardrop, and it made no sound as it descended. The morning sun reflected off its surface and made it shine like a star falling to Earth. Commander Jake Harris stood at the edge of the landing zone with 50 soldiers behind him. They have been waiting for 3 hours. The message from space had come 2 weeks ago, and the world had not slept since. Aliens were real. They were coming. And nobody knew if they came as friends or enemies. Jake was 42 years old with gray at his temples and lines around his eyes from too many years in too many wars. He had seen combat on 4 continents, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. His heart beat fast in his chest, but his face showed nothing. A commander could not show fear. Beside him sat Duke, his German shepherd. The dog was 8 years old and had served alongside Jake for 6 of those years. They had been through firefights together, through explosions in ambush and long nights in hostile territory. Duke had saved his life twice. Jake had saved the dog's life 3 times. They were more than soldier and animal. They were family. Duke's ears stood straight up as he watched the ship land. A low growl rumbled in his throat. but he did not move. He waited for Jake's command, just as he always did. The ship touched down without a sound. Dust rose around it and then settled. For a long moment, nothing happened. The soldiers gripped their weapons tighter. Jake kept his hand on Duke's head, feeling the tension in the dog's muscles. Then a door opened in the side of the ship. The aliens that walked out were tall and thin, with bodies like insects. They had 4 arms and 2 legs, and their skin was a deep purple color that seemed to shift in the light. Their heads were narrow with large compound eyes that reflected everything around them like mirrors. Thin wings folded against their backs, delicate and iridescent like a dragonfly's wings. There were 5 of them. The one in front wore golden robes and carried a small device in one of its 4 hands. It stepped forward and stopped about 20 feet from Jake. "I am Ambassador Cricksdale of the Velthrani Empire," the alien said. Its mouth did not move right with the words. Jake realized the small device was translating. "We come to your world in peace, to learn of your kind and share knowledge between our peoples." Jake stepped forward. Duke moved with him, staying close to his leg. "I am Commander Jake Harris of the United Earth Defense Force. On behalf of our planet, I welcome you." Cricksdale's compound eyes shifted and focused on Duke. The alien's wings twitched once, then again. The other 4 aliens behind him took a small step backward. "What is that creature?" Cricksdale asked. There was something new in the translated voice. It took Jake a moment to recognize it. Fear. "This is Duke," Jake said. "He is my dog. My companion." "Companion?" Cricksdale repeated the word like it was from a language he did not understand. "This animal is your servant? Your slave?" "No, he is my friend." The aliens looked at each other. Their wings moved in patterns that Jake guessed was some kind of silent communication. Cricksdale turned back to face him. "This creature has the eyes of a hunter. Its teeth are designed for killing. It is a predator, yes?" "Yes," Jake said. His ancestors were wolves. They hunted in packs and brought down prey much larger than themselves. They were some of the most effective predators on our planet. "And you keep it beside you? It does not attack you? It does not try to eat you?" Jake smiled and scratched Duke behind the ears. The dog's tail wagged once, but his eyes never left the aliens. "Duke would die to protect me, and I would die to protect him. That is what it means to be companions." Lieutenant Katie Morgan walked up to join them. She was 30 years old, with red hair pulled back in a tight braid. At her side walked Bella, a pit bull with a brown and white coat and a wide, muscular chest. Bella had been found in a fighting ring 5 years ago, rescued and rehabilitated. Now she was one of the gentlest dogs Katie had ever known. But she still looked like what she was, a powerful animal built for battle. The Velthrani delegation took another step back when they saw Bella. "You have more of these creatures?" Cricksdale asked. His voice had risen in pitch. "There are over 400 million dogs on Earth," Katie said. "They live in our homes. They sleep in our beds. They play with our children. You children?" One of the other aliens spoke for the first time. It was smaller than Cricksdale, with darker purple skin. "You allow these predators near young?" "My niece is 6 years old," Katie said. "She uses Bella as a pillow when she watches television. Bella has never once shown any aggression toward her. She would let my niece pull her ears and tail all day without complaint." The Velthrani were silent for a long moment. Jake could see them struggling to process this information. Their compound eyes kept moving between the humans and the dogs, watching every movement. "This is not possible," Cricksdale finally said. "In all our travels across the stars, we have encountered many sentient species. 43 civilizations. Every one of them domesticated prey animals. Creatures that were already timid, already inclined to follow, already easy to control. This is the natural order. The strong dominate the weak. Predators do not serve. They rule or they are destroyed. Jake looked down at Duke. The dog looked back up at him with those amber eyes that had watched over him through so many dark nights. There was intelligence in those eyes. Loyalty, love. Maybe that is how it works in the rest of the galaxy, Jake said. But on Earth, we found another way. We did not dominate the wolves. We became their partners. We hunted together, fought together, survived together. And over thousands of years, that partnership became something more. It became family. Krigsdale stared at Jake for a long time. Then he looked at Duke. The dog met his gaze without blinking, without backing down, but also without aggression. He was calm and confident, sure of his place in the world and his bond with the human beside him. "You are a strange species," Krigsdale said at last. "We have much to learn about your kind." Jake nodded. "I think you do." He did not know then how true those words would prove to be. He did not know that the Velthrani had conquered every species they had ever met. He did not know that they had come to Earth not just to learn, but to assess, to judge whether humanity would be easy to control. They had expected to find another soft species to add to their empire. They had found something else entirely. Part 4. Teeth in the Dark. The invasion began at dawn on a Tuesday in September. Velthrani. Warships filled the sky like a swarm of silver insects. They came down over every major city on Earth at the same moment. New York, London, Tokyo, Sydney, Moscow, Beijing. 200 ships in total, carrying an army that had conquered 17 worlds. Ambassador Krigsdale had warned his superiors that Earth would be different. They had not listened. The Empire had never failed. The Empire would not fail now. They were wrong. In Chicago, the Velthrani soldiers moved through the empty streets in tight formations. Their weapons hummed with energy. Their compound eyes scanned every shadow. They had been told that humans would run, would hide, would surrender like every other species. But the streets were too quiet, too still. Officer Danny Martinez watched them from the window of an abandoned apartment building. He was 38 years old, a veteran of the Chicago Police Department, and he had been a canine handler for 15 years. Beside him crouched Rex, his Belgian Malinois. Rex was 7 years old with tan fur and black markings on his face. His eyes were fixed on the aliens below, and every muscle in his body was tight with tension. "Easy, boy," Danny whispered. "Not yet." The Velthrani patrol passed beneath the building and entered a large warehouse at the end of the street. Danny had chosen this location carefully. The warehouse had only 2 exits. Once the aliens were inside, they would be trapped. He waited until the last soldier entered. Then he pressed the button on his radio. Now, every door in the warehouse slammed shut at once. The lights went out, and in the darkness, Danny released Rex. The screaming started 3 seconds later. Rex moved through the darkness like a ghost. He could see in the dim light. He could smell the aliens, their strange chemical scent filling his nose. And he understood his mission: protect, attack, win. The Velthrani had never faced anything like this. Their weapons were designed for enemies they could see. But Rex was too fast, too silent, too smart. He struck from the shadows, his teeth finding gaps in their armor, his body twisting away from their wild shots. By the time Danny and his team entered the warehouse with flashlights, 6 aliens were on the ground and the rest were huddled in a corner, their weapons thrown aside, their wings shaking with fear. "Good boy," Danny said. And Rex returned to his side, tail wagging once, ready for the next fight. Stories like this repeated across the planet. In rural Montana, rancher Amy Sullivan heard the alien ships coming before she saw them. She was 45 years old, with calloused hands and sun-weathered skin. She had 3 Australian shepherds named Blue, Tucker, And Penny, when the Velthrani patrol landed in her pasture. She did not run. She and her dogs held that farm for 6 hours. The aliens did not understand what they were facing. The dogs worked as a team, circling the soldiers, cutting off escape routes, driving them into traps that Amy had prepared. One dog would bark and draw attention, while another attacked from behind. They moved like they could read each other's minds, and in some ways, they could. Generations of breeding had given them instincts that worked perfectly together. By the time military backup arrived, Amy was sitting on her porch with a rifle across her lap and 14 captured Velthrani soldiers tied up in her barn. Her dogs sat around her, panting but unharmed. "Took you long enough," she said to the soldiers who came to help Dot in New York. The therapy dog programs became something no one had expected. Dogs trained to provide comfort to the sick and the scared were now being used to track survivors in collapsed buildings, to locate enemy positions, to protect civilians during evacuations. A golden retriever named Sunny found 37 people trapped in a subway tunnel. A Saint Bernard named Max carried medical supplies through streets too dangerous for human medics. The Velthrani had studied human military tactics. They knew about tanks and planes and missiles. They had prepared for all of it. They had not prepared for the dogs. Commander Jake Harris led the counterattack on the main Velthrani command ship. It had landed in the Nevada desert, not far from where first contact had happened months before. The ship was huge, nearly a mile long, filled with thousands of soldiers and the technology of a conquering empire. Harris had 200 special forces, operators, and 50 military working dogs. It was enough. They hit the ship at night, cutting through the outer hull and pouring inside. The corridors were dark and narrow, designed for alien bodies, perfect for dogs. Duke led the way, his nose finding enemies before human eyes could see them. He warned of ambush, tracked fleeing soldiers, and twice knocked Harris out of the path of weapons fire. Behind them came the other teams, each human paired with a dog, moving as one. The Velthrani soldiers panicked. They had training and weapons and armor, but they had no answer for enemies that attacked in perfect coordination, that seemed to communicate without words, that struck from the darkness with teeth and fury. "They are demons," one captured officer said later, his translator crackling with static. "The humans are frightening, but they follow rules. They fight like soldiers. Those creatures, those wolves, they fight like something else. They fight without mercy. They fight without fear. 2 minds, 1 purpose." We had no chance. By morning, the command ship was captured. The other Velthrani ships, cut off from their leadership, began to surrender one by one. The invasion that was supposed to last 3 days was over in 18 hours. Humanity had not just survived. Humanity had won, and standing beside them, bloody but unbowed, were the 4-legged warriors who had refused to let their humans fall. Part 3. The Cats Who Walked Alone. Dear Megan Foster did not like politicians. She did not like meetings. She did not like wearing formal clothes or speaking in careful diplomatic words. She was a veterinarian. She liked animals. She understood animals. They were honest in ways that people never were. But when the government asked her to join the cultural exchange with the Velthrani, she said yes, because she had something important to show them. She brought Shadow. Shadow was a black cat with green eyes and an attitude that said the entire world existed only for her convenience. She was 9 years old and had been with Megan since she was a tiny kitten found crying in a cardboard box behind a grocery store. Now she weighed 12 pounds and ruled Megan's house like a queen rules her kingdom. The Velthrani delegation stared at Shadow as Megan walked into the meeting room. The cat sat in a small carrier that Megan sat on the conference table. Shadow looked out at the aliens through the mesh door. Her green eyes were calm, bored even. These strange purple creatures did not impress her at all. "This is a different creature than the dogs," Ambassador Crickstal said. He leaned closer to look at Shadow. "It is smaller. Its eyes are different." "This is a cat," Megan said. She opened the carrier door. Shadow stepped out slowly, stretched her long body, and then sat down on the table. She began to clean her paw as if no one else existed. Cats have lived alongside humans for about 10,000 years. Is this one also descended from predators? Yes, from small wild cats that hunted rodents in the Middle East. When humans started farming grain, mice and rats came to eat the grain. Cats came to eat the mice and rats. Humans noticed that having cats around meant less lost food. Cats noticed that humans provided warm places to sleep and scraps of food. So we started living together. Relena watched Shadow carefully. "But this creature does not obey you. I can see it. There is no submission in its posture." Megan laughed. "No, cats do not obey anyone. That is not how our relationship works." She reached out to pet Shadow. The cat ignored her for a moment, continuing to clean her paw. Then, when she was ready, Shadow pressed her head against Megan's hand and purred. The sound was low and rumbling, almost like a small motor. "I do not understand," Crickstal said. "If the creature does not obey you, what is its purpose? What function does it serve?" "She makes me happy," Megan said simply. "When I come home after a hard day, she meets me at the door. When I am sick, she sleeps on my chest. When I am sad, she sits with me and purrs. She does not serve a function. She is my friend." The Volthrani were silent. Shadow yawned, showing her small, sharp teeth, and then jumped down from the table. She walked across the room, sniffed at one of the alien delegates, wrinkled her nose in disapproval, and walked away to explore a corner. "The creature rejected me," the delegate said. There was something like offense in his voice. "Cats reject everyone at first," Megan said. "You have to earn their respect. They do not give it freely like dogs do. A dog will love you the moment you meet. A cat makes you prove yourself worthy." Commander Jake Harris had been watching from the back of the room. He stepped forward now, Duke walking beside him as always. "That is the thing the ambassador needs to understand. Dogs gave us loyalty. Cats gave us something different. They gave us humility." "Humility?" Crickstal repeated the word carefully. "A dog will do what you ask because it trusts you. A cat will only do what you ask if it decides you are worth listening to. Living with cats taught us that we cannot control everything, that sometimes we must wait, that sometimes we must let others come to us on their own terms." Shadow had finished exploring the room. She walked back to Megan and jumped up into her lap. The cat curled into a ball and closed her eyes, trusting that she was safe, that she was loved, that no harm would come to her in this strange place with these strange beings. "You see that?" Megan said softly, stroking Shadow's fur. "She is a predator. Her ancestors survived for millions of years by being suspicious, by being careful, by trusting no one. But she trusts me, not because I forced her, because I earned it. Day by day, year by year, I proved that I would care for her, protect her, love her. And she decided I was worthy." That night, Commander Harris received a message from military intelligence. He read it alone in his quarters, Duke sleeping at his feet. The message contained intercepted communications from the Volthrani ship. Translated, they revealed the truth that Harris had suspected from the beginning. The Volthrani were not diplomats. They were scouts. Their empire had conquered 17 civilizations across the galaxy. Every species they encountered had been the same: soft, weak, built on the domination of prey animals. They had never learned to fight, never learned to resist, never learned to stand together against a threat. They had all fallen quickly. The Volthrani had come to Earth expecting to find another easy target. Instead, They had found something that confused them. A species that kept apex predators as family. A species that had earned the loyalty of wolves and the respect of cats. A species that understood partnership in a way the Velthrani never had. The intercepted messages showed that the Empire was debating what to do. Some wanted to attack immediately, before humanity could become a threat. Others wanted to wait, to study these strange humans more carefully. A few even suggested something unthinkable, treating humanity as equals. Harris closed the message and looked down at Duke. The dog opened his eyes and looked back. "They are coming, boy," Harris said quietly. "Sooner or later they are coming." Duke's ears went flat against his head. A low growl rumbled in his chest. He did not understand the words, but he understood the tone. He understood that his human was worried. And he understood what his job was: protect the pack, whatever it took. Part 5. The pack. 6 months after the failed invasion, a single Velthrani ship entered Earth's solar system. It came slowly, with no weapons armed and all shields down. It broadcast a message on every frequency, in every human language. "We come in peace. We come to talk." The ship was allowed to land in Washington, D.C., in a park near the center of the city. This time, there were no soldiers waiting. Just Commander Jake Harris, Dr. Ryan Palmer, and Dr. Megan Foster. And, of course, their animals. The alien who stepped off the ship was older than any Velthrani they had seen before. His purple skin had faded to a pale lavender, and his wings hung low against his back. His compound eyes were clouded with age. But he walked with dignity, and when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of centuries. "I am High Counselor Thexal," he said. "I am the eldest of our ruling body. I have come to speak for the Velthrani Empire." "We are listening," Harris said. Thexal looked around the park. It was a warm spring day. Children played on the grass. People walked along the paths, some alone, some with friends, many with dogs at their sides. A woman jogged past with a husky pulling at its leash. An old man sat on a bench with a small terrier in his lap. "After your victory, our empire debated for many months," Thexal said. "Some wished to send a larger fleet to crush your world with overwhelming force. Others said we should avoid Earth forever, that your kind was too dangerous to engage. And what did you decide?" Ryan asked. "I decided to come here myself. To see with my own eyes the species that defeated us. To understand how it was possible." He walked slowly through the park, the humans following beside him. Duke walked close to Harris, his eyes never leaving the alien, but his posture calm. Shadow rode in a carrier on Megan's back, watching everything with her usual expression of bored superiority. They came to a playground, where a young girl was playing with a golden retriever. The child was perhaps 7 or 8 years old, with blonde hair and messy pigtails. She was throwing a ball, and the dog was fetching it and bringing it back, tail wagging furiously. Each time the dog returned, the girl hugged it around the neck and laughed. Thexal stopped and watched. "That creature could kill her easily," he said. "Its jaws could crush her skull. Its weight could knock her down, and its teeth could tear her throat. And yet, look at them." The dog dropped the ball at the girl's feet. She picked it up and pretended to throw it, but held onto it instead. The dog's whole body wiggled with excitement, waiting, hoping. The girl laughed and finally threw the ball for real. The dog bounded after it with pure joy. "Your species conquered 17 civilizations," Harris said. "You ruled the galaxy through force and fear. And you have never seen anything like this? Never. In all our history, we have never seen a predator play with a child. We have never seen teeth that could kill choose instead to carry a toy. We do not understand how this is possible." An old man named Paul walked past them on the path. He was blind, his eyes hidden behind dark glasses. Beside him walked a Labrador in a service harness. guiding him around obstacles, stopping at curbs, keeping him safe. The dog moved with calm confidence, her attention completely focused on her human. "That dog gives that man his freedom," Megan said. "Without her, he would be trapped in his home. With her, he can go anywhere. She is his eyes." Dexal watched the man and dog disappear down the path. "Why does the animal do this? What does it gain?" "Love," Megan said simply. "She loves him, and he loves her. That is enough." They walked on. A teenager sat on a bench, crying softly. A pit bull sat beside her with its head in her lap. The dog did not try to cheer her up or make her stop crying. It just sat there, present, offering comfort simply by existing. "When we are sad, they are sad with us," Ryan said. "When we are happy, they celebrate. They feel what we feel. It is like we share one heart." Dexal was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was different, softer, filled with something that might have been wonder. "I understand now. You did not conquer the wolves. You did not break them or force them to serve. You joined them. You became pack." Harris looked down at Duke. The dog looked back up at him, those amber eyes filled with trust and loyalty, and something that could only be called love. "Yes," Harris said. "We became family. This is a concept we do not have. In the Velthrani Empire, there is no word for what you describe. We have masters and servants, leaders and followers, the strong and the weak. But this partnership, this love between different species, it does not exist in our language or our history." "Then perhaps it is time to learn new words," Megan said. Dexal turned to face them. His old eyes studied each of them in turn, and then studied their animals. Duke, calm and alert. Shadow, watching with ancient cat wisdom. The dogs in the park, playing and guiding and comforting. "I came here expecting to find monsters," Dexal said. "Creatures who could somehow command apex predators to fight for them. I thought perhaps you had some secret technology, some form of mind control, something we could steal or copy." He shook his head slowly. "Instead, I found something far more dangerous, far more powerful. You found a way to make predators love you. You found a way to turn enemies into family. If you can do this with wolves, what else might you do? What alliances might you form? What impossible things might you achieve simply by treating others with kindness?" The old alien stood straighter, his wings lifting slightly. "The Velthrani Empire wishes to negotiate peace, not as conquerors and conquered, as equals. We have much to learn from your kind." Harris extended his hand. After a moment of hesitation, Dexal reached out with one of his 4 hands and grasped it. "Welcome to Earth," Harris said. "Let us show you what partnership truly means." In the years that followed, the galaxy changed. Species that had been enemies for millennia began to talk. Civilizations that had known only war began to explore peace. And everywhere the change spread, one truth was repeated. The humans had shown them the way. Not through weapons or threats or domination. Through something simpler. Through the ancient bond between a human and a dog. 2 hunters who had chosen to walk together instead of alone. Through love, and a wolf who had chosen, 10,000 years ago, to sit beside a fire and trust a strange 2-legged creature with its life. That choice had changed everything. It always would.